Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter. INSiiGHTS.
Yeah.
2 eyes in the middle. INSiiGHTS.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all. It's that time. It's that time. Coach, what week is this?
FAMU homecoming.
Yes, indeed. It's that week, folks. It's homecoming week. Special homecoming edition. Thank you for joining us on the Mick and Rick show. It's your favorite reporter's favorite reporter, me, Rick Brown, with the man, the myth, the legend. Man, the man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it to him anyway. The coach, Mickey Clayton. What's up, coach? My man.
Hey, we had a time out there.
Hey, it happens every now and then.
He say it happens every now and then.
Hey, man, it's the reverb. You know, they just want to see our pretty faces.
I don't know about a reverb. We used to call it stuttering.
I don't know if we can say that officially, PC wise. You know, I am the PC police here, and wait a minute. Oh, we ran the disclaimer. Never mind. It's all good. What's happening?
Man, I don't know about it, Rick. You know, it's since I seen you last. I've been up and down the road, man. I was in Indianapolis, see the Cavaliers and the Pacers play on Friday. Then on Sunday, I saw my Cleveland Browns. I always tell you, hashtag all things Cleveland. I saw my Browns come back and win a game they wasn't supposed to win, just like the 49ers, but I don't care. We won. I don't even want to hear about bad calls because we've lost on bad calls. This time we won them. So I don't even care.
I understand. Hey, good job. Good job. And what was the kid's name? PJ Walker?
PJ Walker from the XFL. Man, I don't care. I just want to get the job done. That's all. You know, when you have a team, you support your team, win, lose, or draw. Mostly losing. It'd be so funny. See, I already know that, but my wife would be with me, and we could be anywhere in the country. And if I have Browns gear on, which I wear it proudly, somebody's going to walk up to me and say, "You must be from Cleveland." And I said, "Well, how do you know?" He said, "Nobody but somebody from Cleveland could be a Cleveland Browns fan." And I just look at my wife. I said, I told you that happens everywhere we go. But I'm good. I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Look at him, happy. Look, you can tell he got a little glow on him. Look at him. Look at him bouncing off.
Man, y'all, you better recognize, because I sure do. Man, that kind of thing doesn't happen too often for us. It really doesn't. And then we turn around and we have a situation.
That Cleveland defense, Garrett knocked it loose. Who's got it? At first glance, it appears as though the Colts have recovered. Now they say Cleveland football. Boy, it looked like Will Fries had fell on it momentarily, but Anthony Walker has found a home here in Jim Schwartz's defense, playing up near the line of scrimmage like a linebacker. Well, apparently for Shane Steichen, they're not out of field goal range. Metcalf is blocked. That's a live football. It's picked up Denzel Ward. Shane Steichen rolling the dice. They attempt a 60-yard field goal. Myles Garrett the block. And suddenly a short field. Minshew from his end zone. Here comes Garrett. Football's loose. Who's got it? Cleveland It's still loose, no signal yet. Touchdown.
The line.
And
He
then a
jumped
tackle,
over
and
the
it doesn't even
line.
matter. Chip, bump, whatever. That's
That's
not going to happen.
that's incredible. That's incredible.
Freeland's got to do a much
He
better
himself
job of,
single-handedly
Freeland didn't even
won
account for
the
Garrett.
game for us. He did that. He single-handedly won that game from the defensive position on the floor, on the field.
As Garrett continues to wreak havoc. I thought he was going to see it. If he just turned around, he doesn't.
I mean, he has to be leading the Defensive Player of the Year ballots right now. I mean, he has to be the front runner because not only this game, but he's been doing this all season. He's been all over all season. Wow. I mean, I give it up for him. He's playing very, 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 very well. And what's that? Buys minority ownership stake in the Cavs. Go ahead, businessman.
It's been a heck of a week for him. This happened or was released today. Myles Garrett, part owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, putting his money back in the city, loves the program, loves the city. All the money he made, he just made himself a partial owner.
That's
you
pretty
have to
cool.
respect that.
Yes.
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 You have to respect that. I mean, there's no other way around it. Rick, tell me something.
Y'all must have shown this man love, man. Y'all must have shown him some love for him to love Cleveland like that.
Man, he's become a monster on that defensive side now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us something that we didn't know, Rick. I always know that you got something for us. Give us a little bit. Give us something.
All right. Well, Coach and people, thank you. We all know how the great Jesse Owens crushed the 1936 Olympics in Germany, winning four gold medals at the games and saying to Hitler and all that. But did you know in 1935 in Ann Arbor, Michigan, he did something that will likely never happen again? Okay, during the Big Ten tournament meet at Ferry Field, Owens established 4 world records in a span of just, listen to this, Coach, 45 minutes, less than an hour. He set the world marks in the 220-yard dash, the 220-yard low hurdles, set the world mark in the long jump, and despite just having one attempt. And he started the day tying the mark in the 100-yard dash. All of this despite having a bad back that he messed up in the dorm when he fell down some steps. And the coach nearly didn't even allow him to compete. He was a bad man. 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I thought that was pretty cool. But okay.
And how about this? Dave gave me a pin from the Olympics. He was a friend of the family in Cleveland. I don't have any idea what happened to that pin. When you're a little kid, they give you things like that and you don't even understand the significance of it.
Yeah.
I tell you, we related to Sam Jones with the Celtics. He's my uncle. He would bring us basketball signed by Bill Russell, Larry Siegfried, Sam Jones, Casey Jones. No, we did went outside and play with it. I mean, you can imagine what that basketball would have been worth now. I mean, it's kids. I mean, we all know. Sports Diva, what's up?
Hey, Diva, what's happening?
We appreciate.
So here's the second one, Coach. With FAMU playing Prairie View for homecoming, it made me wonder about the playing history of these two schools. They've only played 8 times with FAMU having a 5-3 advantage. Not much. But did you know the last meeting came in 1959, and with the Rattlers' 28-7 victory, it capped a 10-0 perfect season in the Orange Blossom Classic and wrapped up the Black College Football National Championship. It was also the second of 3 undefeated seasons for Coach Alonzo Jake Gaither.
Wow. Well, you on it. You on it.
A little special homecoming edition. Just a little something.
Just a little something, something, huh?
Yeah, the Orange Blossom Classic last game. You know, they won the Black College National Championship. Hmm. If FAMU wins this, could it be a repeat later on down the road? Hmm.
Could
Just
be
asking.
interesting. And
Just
we got a
asking.
Merritt Island High School graduate coaching Prairie View A&M. Bubba McDowell played at University of Miami, went to NFL. He's coaching. He's one of the few SWAC football coaches we could reach out and touch pretty much whenever we need to. I mean, you could reach out, talk to him. You know, we text each other all the time. He's a good guy. I mean, we were in different classes, but I always talk
Mhm.
about that Merritt Island family with Waldo Williams and a lot of the Merritt Island people who watch this show. Shout out to Merritt Island. We appreciate you. Those people from Merritt Island, I mean, they really stay together and they support you all the way through. But tell me something. What do you remember the most about FAMU homecoming when you were a student?
Not much, coach.
Oh,
Not when I was a student. No. My favorite.
yeah. I had to go when you were a student. I didn't want you grown. I had to
No.
get you when you were a student.
Actually, I remember more when I was grown than when I was a student. But there was one homecoming that stands out. It was my junior year, and I remember the concert being on the in the football stadium, and they
Mhm.
had Public Enemy and a group from DC, Experience Unlimited, and that's when Doing the Butt came out. And DC, we had this music called Go Go, and I was on the fourth row with a bunch of my DC people. And Sugar Bear, who's the lead singer of EU, was like, "Wait a minute, there's DC people here," and we all yeah going crazy. And he broke it down for like 30 minutes, man, just doing DC stuff, and the whole stadium was just rocking to it. It was my most memorable homecoming. It really was.
Oh, that's all right there. I love to hear that. I love to
What
hear
about
that.
you?
At which time frame?
Can you remember your student days?
I how old do you think I am, Rick? For it to be able
What?
to be with me that long, it was a good memory. You know, being from Cleveland, every year during the summer when I go home and work, I'd always get me a fit for homecoming. Because if you can get it from Cleveland or Detroit, Chicago, when you would come for homecoming, you wouldn't see yourself. And
Right,
I
right.
remember the homecoming concerts then were in Jake Gaither. And we would leave and go stand in the back of the auditorium with our fit on, you know. And I remember the young lady I was dating at the time made a comment talking about, I'm just an ornament. I'm just a part of the outfit. I'm just on your arm to look good. I said, well, at least you're looking good. That, for when I was in school, that was memorable. As a coach, I remember them setting up when we're in practice. They just started wheeling stuff in the middle of the gym floor to set up. And we running a fast break, and they're running around with these things, putting these things. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Coach homecoming. I said, we're in the middle of practice. They said, you ain't got practice no more. And that would be
Wow.
in the when I was coaching the boys team after homecoming, they came to me talking, Coach, let us tell you about you. Tell you about homecoming. I said, do I want to hear this? They said, oh yeah, Coach, we share with you. They said, well, when we ended the practice, Coach, we ain't get back till Sunday night. I said, back from where? It was a van full of students. Young ladies came by. We got out of practice. They scooped up about 4 or 5 of us. We ain't make it back till Sunday. I said, wait a minute. They put you in the van with them out of practice? Yeah, Coach, it was homecoming for them. So we had a great homecoming. I said, I don't want to hear no more.
Enough. Enough. Don't tell me no more. I'm glad you got back safely.
It's always craziness. And then when we were boosters and the booster president, you know, we were in the parking lot. Coach, you need to come look in the back of this van. We're in the parking lot, right? I said, what are y'all talking about? Coach, come look in the back of his van. I said, I'm not looking in the van. Coach, you got to come look in the back of the van. So already to one side, they over there, we had to stop them one time because they got lap dancing going in the parking lot. So they doing lap dances. So I said, do I really want to look? Coach, you in charge of the parking lot. And so you look in the back of the van, they got a pole in the back of the van. That's all I'm going to say. They had a pole in the back of the van. I'm like,
Only at FAMU. Only
oh,
at FAMU.
hey, y'all, we got Game
FSU.
Day, the movie
You don't
coming.
do this.
We keep telling y'all about it. It's about some of these escapades that went on in the parking lot. There were true stories now.
True stories. The names have been changed to protect the guilty. I mean, the innocent.
Well, you're absolutely right. We had another instance one time, and I'm looking. I said, "Where's my assistant?" So I see their golf cart, right? But I don't see them. Golf cart hadn't moved. So I go over to where the golf cart is to figure out what's going on. And over in the back of the parking lot where the parking garage is, and the hill comes down. So I walk up just in time to see my assistant taking their earrings off and stepping back like this. So I'm like, what in the world? So I get out to go over there to see what's going on. They come running off the top of the hill. Coach, don't stop the fight. We got the money on your assistant. We got the money on your assistant. We just said it's gonna take 2 blows and she gonna knock him down. She gonna knock him out. So they had big money. They were getting ready to bet on it. So here comes the guy. Coach, let me check it. I said, wait a minute. I said, don't you have a job? He said, yes, sir. I said, I don't care what she told you. Don't you want your boss to support you? Yes, sir. My bad. Shook my hand, apologized to her, and walked off. And they were mad with him because they wanted to see the fight. I'm like, so we always got something homecoming now. It's homecoming. If those are stories I could tell you, just imagine the stories I can't tell.
The ones that can't be told or will not be ever told
not be
on
ever
airwaves
told.
such as this.
You are absolutely right about it. You are absolutely right.
but listen, for the parents who are listening who may want to send their children to Florida A&M, there are great activities during homecoming week. I promise you, there's a gospel show on Sunday that is top notch. There are parades, uh, tons of activities, wholesome activities for students. Okay,
activities.
I just happen to be one of those, ones who veered left, and so don't do what I do. Do better. Do better. FAMU has it all for everyone. Has something for everyone.
Well, without further ado,
yes,
without
please.
further ado, let me talk a little bit about this our special guest. He went to Florida A&M from Florida High. He went to Florida High, graduated from Florida High, got his bachelor's at Florida A&M. You should know him because he was from the J School.
J School?
Got a master's in communication. He's the only son of Jesse and Brenda Christie, big brother to Brittany. He was a 2019 Man of Distinction for Black Enterprise Magazine.
Wow.
220 Orlando Business Journal's 40 Under 40 Award.
Ooh.
2021 Diversity Leader Award by PR News. Recipient of the Impress Award for Professional Achievement from the Florida Public Relations Association, Orlando chapter. He's a writer, PR professional, DEI advocate. He contributed thought leadership pieces to PR Week, Home, Business Magazine, Small Business Daily, PR News, and PR Daily, opinionated essays for the Griot and for Blavity. Our show would be over if I continue to read the accolades to this young man. But without further ado, Jalen Christie, more commonly known in all the famous circles as Jay, or by some, the Superfly Nerd.
JC, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. How's it going?
All right, bro. What's happening?
It's good to be here tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show.
Wow,
Hey,
man.
You say Rick, he left you with a wow, huh? That's that
Just
J
wow,
School
those accolades. I know J School representing one time.
Florida A&M all day, orange and green all day.
That's what's up.
And one of the things we always like to do, we always say hashtag it's about the kids, but we like to let people know about the successes of our students and how they're doing and how they're doing so well and making a name for themselves. And anytime a FAMU grad or a FAMU student or somebody who walked by FAMU campus gets in trouble, that's the first thing they say in the paper. But we have a lot of people and a lot of students like Jay who are getting a lot of attention in different parts of the country, and everybody doesn't know it. And we wanted to take this time to award you, recognize you for all the things that you have done. I don't know how you've accomplished so much in such little time.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So first and foremost, God is good. So let's start there. God is good. But I always tell people, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, that was my foundation. I'm a proud graduate of FAMU's J School. I still keep in contact with the vast majority of my professors from the program. I still talk to Dr. Valerie White, Professor Janella Gordon, she's gotten married and she's gotten a PhD since then. So now she's Dr. McLeod. But my J School professors, they really gave me the foundation when it came to public relations and writing and communications and being aggressive and going after, what it is that I want. And even though I graduated over a decade ago, I think I graduated 2010. It's 2023 now, but I graduated from FAMU back in 2010. I still use those same journalistic principles and those same communications tips from the J School in my profession now. So, it's been invaluable to me, and I'm still utilizing it to this day.
Wow. Tell us how you ended up being so diversified in what you do. I haven't even talked about, let me ask about it. Tell me about the cartoon. See?
Oh, look, there's my sister. My sister is trying so I don't know, man. I think, Coach, so the thing about me is, so the truth is I bore incredibly easily. I just do. So I like to be involved in, a plethora of different things. So, growing up, my parents always instilled in my sister and I the value of giving back. So that's probably where I get my community service and my community involvement from. But in regards to the comic book, the cartoon, I'm a blurred. For people that don't know, a blurred is a Black nerd. So back when I was a kid, it was not cool to be a nerd, but now in 2023, it's embraced. So diversity, variety, it's the spice of life. We're embracing our differences. So when I was a child, I noticed that there were not a lot of Black superheroes. There were not a lot of people saving the day that looked like me. So when I was in first grade, I took it upon myself to create my own superheroes. And I don't think I did it with the intention of the characters ever being published one day. I think I just did it for fun. But I would draw comic books as a child, and I would write short stories, and then I would always share them with my family members and with my friends. And then over the years, even your daughters, Coach Clayton, Mickey, and Maya, and Milan, for that matter, they were always like, "Hey, Jay, you should do something with these comic books one day." Because I remember I would draw comic books in middle school, and Maya, your daughter, would read my comic books. both Maya and another good friend of mine, Robin Dean.
Oh Lord, we know her.
Robin Dean, good old friend, Robin Dean. But they would encourage me to do something with my artwork. And then when the pandemic happened in 2020, and then the murder of George Floyd, one of my fraternity brothers said, this would be the perfect time to revisit your comic book characters. Because, by the way, my comic book characters, I didn't indicate this earlier, but all of my comic book characters are Black or are people of colors, because I believe in, representation. So one of my fraternity brothers said, hey, now would be the right time to revisit, some of these stories, dust them off for a 2020, 2021, 2022 audience and do something with it. So that's what happened. And I released my comic book, Stink Bomb Man and the Brain Kids, in Black History Month of this year. And it's been immensely successful. So I'm really appreciative of that.
Well, and one of the things that you said that I'm really kind of proud of is how the friendships that you developed, some with my daughter, I ain't gonna count Robin, even though she's my daughter too, how y'all are still so close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a core group of you that kind of grew up together, that still support each other. It's not much I could say, well, did you know that? Oh, Daddy, you just knew that? We've been knew that. And y'all are so protective of each other. And those friendships and relationships that y'all develop has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've seen some of the things that you've done. Rick, he's hard to keep up with. You almost have to kind of see something on LinkedIn or something else here or something like, because he doesn't tell you nothing. So if you don't grab hold of something on social media, you won't really know.
Yeah.
And then I've been trying to reach him for a few months. So yeah, I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call his sister out too, because I said, I need to be able to reach your brother. Okay, Coach, I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it to you in the morning. Man, that was 3 months later. Oh, Coach, my bad. I meant to send it. Okay. All right, now don't let me call Mom or Dad over there. Stop by the house, knock on the door, tell them I can't.
But I'm here now, though. So that's all that matters, right? I'm here
now. And a great week too. Yeah, I hear. I mean, that's the J school in them. You know what I thought was interesting is that you started in print and transitioned over to PR.
Mm-hmm.
How was the transition? That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, so for me, quite frankly, it was relatively easy. So I studied magazine production when I was a J school student. So my initial aspirations was to either have my own magazine or write for, a newspaper. I remember having an internship with Tallahassee magazine, and I had another internship with the Tallahassee Democrat. And then back when I graduated, the economy wasn't doing that well. So a lot of reporters were being let go from their jobs. I remember I left the Tallahassee Democrat on a Tuesday and they had a full staff. And I remember coming back on Wednesday and half of their team had been laid off. So when I moved to Orlando, I prayed about it. And then I was unemployed. I was unemployed for about a month. I moved because I wanted to change the scenery. And then another one of my good friends that Maya knows as well, Christian Jenkins. I'm going to give her a shout out really quick. She went to high school with us. Christian had a friend that was looking for a public relations practitioner. And I said to Christian, well, I don't know public relations, but, my FAMU journalism background, I can interview people, I can write, and I was also a theater minor when I was at FAMU. So I feel like if I combine all of that together, essentially it's public relations. So I thought, and then I ended up, getting my first job in PR at a web hosting company, which honestly didn't last long, if I'm being transparent, but it led to me getting a job at the Salvation Army, a nonprofit in Orlando. I think the Salvation Army of Orlando was like the second largest Salvation Army in the state of Florida. And they hired me as their public relations coordinator. And what's funny, true story, the woman that I worked for, Kyle Melody McNeil, she was their director of development. Both of her sons went to FAMU. So she was a proud HBCU supporter. And then in order for us to graduate from the J school, we had to have a portfolio of news clips, things that we have written while we were, at FAMU, because our professors were hard on us. So when I had my interview for the Salvation Army, I had that portfolio with me, and she flipped through all of my news clips and took a chance on me, not even having a public relations background. She just liked the fact that I could write, and she liked the fact that, FAMU had, all of these skill sets. And then she hired me to be their public relations coordinator. And then my career just took off from there. So I think the transition from print to PR for me was easy, because even though I'm still doing public relations now, I still write a lot. So that foundation is still being utilized.
And you was the managing editor of the FAMU?
I sure was. Yeah.
You see my FAMU shirt?
Throwback. That's a throwback for sure. Yeah.
Jay, he's sitting there with a trunk full of clothes. So every time he leaves the screen, he goes into a quick change.
I like that though. I'm not mad at that. I like
it's homecoming week, Coach. It's homecoming week, so I have to, you change up a different thing, different segments.
Oh boy, that's the change you got to make when you pledging. You better make that change quick and get back in. Well, tell us, you have so many things you've done. You've done some acting. Tell us about some of that.
Yeah, so I actually have not acted in a while. I need to get back to it, but
how you gonna have time, Jay? You got.
I'm working on it, Coach. I'm trying to make a concerted effort in 2024 to reestablish a set schedule. But yeah, I've done some acting. I used to act a lot in plays in Tallahassee. And then when I moved to Orlando, I did a few theatrical productions. And then my PR career just kind of kicked off. And then that kind of started monopolizing my time. But the last acting engagement that we did a benefit for a nonprofit. We read A Raisin in the Sun, and I was George Murchison. This is back in like 2018. But since then I haven't done any acting. I need to get back to it. I think so. I'll tell you this. What has happened to me, since we're all family, we can be transparent. What has happened to me is, I've become known as a communications practitioner, like a public relations practitioner, which is great. All right, that's fantastic. But what has happened is, my creative side has kind of taken a bit of a back seat, because, I'm doing the communications thing. I got the master's degree, and now I'm, earning this PhD at UCF. So all of that's kind of like taking over. But I feel like, the creative side has been taking a back seat. So that's why I was like, let me go ahead and focus on this comic book and get this comic book done. And then after that got published, a lot of my friends were like, okay, Jalen, we're going to get back on stage. All right. Like, what's good? So I'm going to see if I can do one play next year, just one. That's the goal. But we'll see. It's a lot of fun. It's good being on stage and making people laugh and bringing characters to life. I enjoy it. I really do.
But see, you said something that can't be underestimated, and that is that you started working on your PhD.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a lot more time than perhaps you realize to be able to bring that to fruition in a reasonable amount of time.
So here's what I am going to say. All right. So one of my fraternity brothers has the same PhD that I'm going after, a PhD in sociology. All right. And he said to me, he's like, oh, when you get into the program, it's going to consume you, and that's all you're going to be working on 24/7. And I said, well, maybe that was true for you. All right. But for me, I don't know, because I like to move at my own pace. All right. So UCF allots a certain amount of time to get this PhD done, but I do believe in, balance. I'm not trying to be stressed out. So even with this semester that I'm in right now, I'm only taking one class with this PhD program, just one. They asked me if I want to take 3, but I was like, no, I'm good with the one. Let me just take this one. Other things that I'm trying to work on in my life. I think next semester I may bump it up to 2, but I can tell you moving forward, it will never be more than 2 classes that I am taking per semester. And I think with that, there are some things in life that I still need to improve upon, but when it comes to my studies, I have it down to a science. I only work on my PhD on Fridays and Saturdays. I try to knock out as much stuff as I can those 2 days, Friday evenings, Saturday mornings, and usually I'm done. That gives me the rest of the week to tend to whatever I need to get to, whether it's like alpha or, community service or my job or, a side hustle. That's worked for me so far, knock on wood, but I never want to get to the point where I am stressed, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm waking up and I'm like, oh, I got this dissertation I got to work on, this paper I need to prepare. No. Nah. So we'll see. It's working so far. We'll see what happens.
I want you to stay with us. I'm gonna run a couple promos here and give you a chance to catch your breath because we're not through. It's a lot of things about this guy.
Everybody, you should get INSiiGHTS on your phone. It's an app you get it on your phone, iPad, YouTube TV, or just YouTube. And it's going to be about a lot of sports. It's about to be girls or boys, or you could just look it up. Bye.
And that's right, Papa. Get him some toys for that promo.
I know that's right. My boy be working. But we got somebody here with a comment that our young brother's ahead of the game. Salute. Balance is so important. Wish I would have learned that at his age. Here he is.
Thank you so much.
Shout out. We appreciate that. All the comments that you make, as Cecil likes to tell me, he said all that helps with, what's that word? That oh Lord, Sports Diva, she done called you out, Rick. She said,
but do you like this one, Sports Diva? You like this one?
He got the Mick and Rick. He got the Mick and Rick on.
I think that looks good for the brand. I mean, that's all. I told y'all this is a show today. It's homecoming week. And look, for all the people who says we only put on certain fraternities, Jay, tell them what fraternity you're in.
I am a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
See? So everybody get off our backs, okay? Get off our backs. Thank you.
Crickets.
Uh-huh.
Jay, tell me something. If you had to tell somebody, because you do speak to you do some consulting and you talk to students, and what would you tell if you went back to Florida High? What would you say to some of those high school students in terms of following their dreams and the people who try to tell them that those dreams aren't realistic? I mean, you're a person who, you were doing cartoons. There were things that you did that weren't mainstream that have done really well for you. So kind of speak to them Let them know.
I would say so that's a good question, Coach Clayton. Thank you for asking that. I think that I would say, the game has changed, man. Like I think of Donald Glover, who's also known as Childish Gambino. Donald Glover is an actor. He's known for his work on the TV show Atlanta. He's going on to win, a lot of awards. I think he has 3 Emmy Awards, I believe. He got his start. I think he's doing the TV show Community, but he's also a rapper known as Childish Gambino. He was interviewed, I think, a few years ago, and Donald Glover said, I think someone asked him, well, how do I get into making movies? How do I get into television? And he said, the game has changed, with it being 2021, 2022, 2023, you can make a movie now on your cell phone and edit it and then go after your dreams that way. So I think what I would say to high schoolers or anyone that's trying, to make their dreams a reality or trying to bring something into fruition, I would say always bet on yourself. First and foremost, believe in God, trust in God, and he'll help you along the way, but always bet on yourself and never count yourself out. I remember having a job at a marketing agency, my very first marketing agency, as a matter of fact, which shall go nameless, which shall go nameless. I'm being good. Therapy works wonders. But I remember having this job as marketing agency, and I was made to feel less than. And every idea that I would contribute and, different initiatives and projects that I would come up with, leadership would speak down to me. And, I had a rival with the peer that I worked with. It just was a toxic work environment. And after leaving that job, if I'm being honest, I'm not going to say that I had low self-esteem, but there was a period where I didn't think that I was like the best public relations practitioner or that, I was worth anything. And then I started betting on myself and started, going after awards and accolades, but not only going after awards and accolades, but started winning awards and accolades. And then started having, more and more individuals come to me and say, oh, well, I've heard about you. I've heard about your, your positive reputation. Could you help me with, my brand, or could you help do some public relations for me on the side? And then when it came to my comic book, yeah, I mean, as a child, I always wanted to do a comic book. And then made it a reality. I mean, that's a comic book, So for anyone that has a dream, no matter what that dream may be, as long as you believe in yourself and invest the time and the resources, I think you can make it happen. I have a friend of mine, really quick before we shift gears, a friend of mine who also graduated from FAMU's J School. She always wanted to be a model. She went to and when you're a model, I think it's not an audition, but I think it was like an open call or something. She went to an open call. They told her that she'd never, work in modeling, told her that, I guess she wasn't good enough or what have you. And she let that bother her for about a year. And then finally, I think it was a little longer than a year now because I'm 36. So she's the same age as I am. So I think it took her some while to get her confidence back. But then she revisited it because she was like, this is what I want to do. I've always wanted to be a model, went for it and started getting gigs, but that's because she didn't count herself out. So just continue to push. That's the advice that I would give. I know it sounds cliche. But at the end of the day, it's factual. It's true. So never give up.
But I think those words. Just a minute, Rick. Please hold your thought.
Yeah.
You said something that's really important. You said about you were in a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get in that situation of a bad work environment, and they don't know what to do, and they end up doubting themselves, get low self-esteem, they get really withdrawn, depressed. There's a number of times we've counseled past athletes that played for us, and friends and students that have been in that situation. What do you try to tell people to help them in those situations? I know that betting on yourself is important, but a lot of times they've been beat down so much that they don't think that's a bet they can win.
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh man. It's tricky when it comes to these jobs, right? Because there's 7 days in a week. You spend 5 of these days at an environment that some of us don't enjoy. So just imagine spending 5 days out of 7 days in a toxic environment. And what does that do to a person? That starts to beat them down eventually. Now, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist, even though, I'm trying to get this sociology degree. But so I don't know if I'm necessarily the best person to answer that question, but I think what I would say is you have to keep trying, even if you wake up every day and you only give like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to, working on yourself or going after your dreams or your aspirations, just doing that little amount can help move the needle. So I know with me, I can use myself as an example. I kept applying for jobs. When I was at that environment, just applied for jobs, and never got any, responses. I got a few interviews. I came close. Since we're really talking, I came close to doing the public relations for a Fortune 500 company, which shall also remain nameless. But I came very close. I was at the final round. I thought I had it. They ended up going with another person. And I remember being emotionally distraught, but that's not what God wanted me. God wanted me somewhere else. And then after leaving that job, I ended up becoming the director of public relations at another marketing agency, which is interesting because the people that made me feel less than at the previous company, they didn't want anything to do with me when I became a director. They pretended as though, they were friends, but once I got that director job, stopped following me on Facebook, stopped engaging with me on Instagram. I had one person that just cut off all ties with me altogether. And I was like, oh, wow, interesting. So we were cool when you were talking down to me and making me feel this small. But now that, I've gotten my confidence back and someone else has seen the value in me, you don't want anything to do with me. It's really weird how that works out. But I think to go back to your original question, I think it's just, taking, a moment of each day to, invest in yourself. I think that sometimes we give so much energy to other obligations and to other things that, pull attention away from ourselves. But even my sister and I have been working on this. Like my sister and I try to do at least 30 minutes to an hour for ourselves, for our own endeavors, going after, our own dreams or our own goals before we give energy to everyone else. And that's worked out for me tremendously. So I hope that answers your question, Coach Clayton. I hope
it does.
Okay.
It says a lot. And it's a topic that we touch on from time to time that we're going to give more attention to, and that's mental health.
Yeah.
And just the fact, as we go along this path with the platform we have,
yes, sir,
we keep trying to find a way to be of service. And there's so many instances where people have survived and come out of what they thought were bad situations to be successful on the other end, but people only see the end results.
That's right.
They don't see the journey. They don't see the fact that it was difficult for you, that you had to pull yourself up, and the sleepless nights that you had. People just don't see that. And so that's why it's really important to us to have people who have survived it. And when you spoke on it, it was like, aha, here's an opportunity. And we said Proverbs 19:21, many are the plans of man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that will prevail.
Amen. Amen.
Rick, I know you've been, I kept you, I was on something, but please.
Yeah, because Coach, I was on the same path. And my question would have been just what kept you going during those times when they were throwing stones and darts at you when you were at your lowest? What kept you going?
I think deep down, I knew what I was capable of. So I think I always knew that one day I would bounce back and that one day I would be fine. But I will say it was to the point where I would wake up in the morning and I would sit on the edge of my bed and, I would not want to go into work. Or when I was at work, I'd be looking at the clock. Or when I was at work, I'd be counting down the days to Friday because I knew that, once Friday hit, it would be the weekend. But then I also remember hating Fridays because the weekend would go by like that. And then Monday would come back and I have to do it. It was just, that's just a bad period. But I think that, I don't know, like I was just very determined. I knew one day I'd get out of it eventually, and just hoped and prayed. But it's interesting, how God works things out, because even though that environment was toxic and was abysmal, it ended up doing for my career what it needed to do, because I became a sharper public relations professional when I was in that environment, because I would get, I mean, for lack of a better term, I'd get crap, from some of these clients, that'd be like, well, get me on television or make this newsworthy, when what they were giving me was anything but newsworthy. And then we had so much pressure from leadership, to perform, because if you didn't perform, you get penalized, which is terrible. But in my next job and subsequent jobs, now when I meet with clients, I can tell them straight up, okay, this is not newsworthy, but I can help you make it newsworthy, or I can develop a pitch in like 15 seconds, or I now know which reporters to contact, or how to get on television, or how to get a newspaper, or how to go about podcasts. So even though that environment was negative, and even though it was, I felt as though it was detrimental, God's plan helped it to where the next job that I got as the director of public relations, one of the clients that we had at this toxic environment ended up referring me for that job, because he and I met and he saw something in me. And he was also working simultaneously with this other organization, this other marketing agency, and knew that they were looking for a director of PR. So he came to me in secret and said, hey, they have this position that's open. I think that you would be good for it. He spoke to the CEO, and I didn't even have to apply for it. The CEO reached out to me. She took me out to coffee. This was a Friday. And then that Tuesday, they offered me the job. So it was a part of God's plan the entire time. Now, I will say this. I mean, I still look back on, that time in my life. And I mean, I have nightmares. Like it was a terrible environment, but ultimately at the end of the day, it did what it was supposed to do for my career. So it was a part of God's plan the entire time.
Going through the fire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Coach Clayton, you're on. I can't hear you, Coach
I
Clayton.
think you're muted, Coach.
Okay, thank you. Back when we first started INSiiGHTS, I was talking to you about social media and trying to do different things. And Rick, he was always so encouraging. And, and I don't try to act as if I know all things. I was a coach. I'd been in athletic administration. Doing all of this was completely out of my element, and knowing now that everything that we do comes from what we do, the graphics, the promotions, the everything, and that's why I tell people when they talk about doing a podcast, and I said that what you see on the screen is the easy part. Doing the interview, it's the hours that go in behind the scenes before you ever do it. But Jay was with us from the beginning, talking to us and trying to explain things to me. I know he thinks he probably thought no more about it, because that's just the way he is. But he did that, and his sister was one of our first sideline reporters when INSiiGHTS started, and we started doing high school games. And we still have an interview with her with Rocky Hannah on the sideline that we use in a lot of our promos and things. And she did a real good job for us. So a lot of times, people say, yeah, you talk to certain people because you have a relationship with them. And this, yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's what makes it easy. We know a lot of people and we know where they came from. And we're trying to help. We have a platform, and it's about community service.
Right.
And so we're so proud of you and what you've done. And we know your background. I've seen you grow up. I've seen you with my daughters and been in the same houses, and mom and dads and everybody know each other. And I'm going to ask one additional question, because we've been on a while and you've done a really excellent job. But, you talk about your religious foundation and how basically you were brought up, and a lot of things, we learn from our parents, good and bad. I mean, I learned some good things about my parents and some things that they did that I was like, I don't want to do that with my children. But you learn good and bad. But a lot of times when you have that good foundation, even when you stray a little bit, you're not going to go too far from how you were raised if you're raised right.
That's right.
I mean, I'm going to let you speak on that a little bit.
Sure, sure. So I grew up in a household where, my parents always took my sister and I to church. And, they always had us active in the community, volunteering. My sister and I always joke about this. We always say that, when we were kids, my mom used to have a briefcase and it had her initials on the briefcase. And I don't know, for whatever reason, that was like so paramount to us as children, because when we grew up, we were like, oh, we want to go to work in business suits and have our own briefcases. Then my first job as a public relations practitioner, I had a briefcase. So I don't ever think I utilized my briefcase, if I'm being honest. But I think growing up and seeing my mom with the briefcase, that that just, I don't know, it just stuck to me. So when I became adult, I kind of emulated that, and my dad always, taught us the value of, talking to God, going to God with whatever it is that you need. Both him and my mom were very active in church. So when I moved to Orlando without even having a job lined up, it's just my best friend and I that moved to Orlando. Didn't even know anyone. Maya was there. Maya was already living there. I remember Maya and I did church, actually, now that you mention it, because Maya was going to St. Mark AME when I first moved to Orlando. And then I remember being in Orlando for about a month. And I was like, well, I got to go to church. Like, I can't get acclimated to this new city without, finding a church home first. And I have the photo. I still have the photo of Maya and I. Maya accompanied me to church. I remember being nervous because I didn't know anyone there. But she was like, yeah, I can introduce you. I have a photo. This is like when I had my afro. I had a huge afro.
The super fly nerd with afro going to church.
That's right. Absolutely. And I remember Maya met me at church. I still have that photo. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, sometimes we go through trials and tribulations, and there are periods in our lives where, each of us, all of us, we may temporarily, stray from the church, because life be lifing, or, jobs become demanding, or we have whatever issues, but, it always brings us back. And I've had moments, quite frankly, where I've been in predicaments and, God has shown up for me, to help me throughout, whatever it was that I was going through. Even in that environment, I did feel God's presence. I might have questioned why it wasn't, moving as fast as I needed it. Yeah.
That's a channel we have on our Roku channel, Faith TV.
No worries. No worries.
So I was like, this would be a good time with what Jay is saying.
To plug that. That's public relations 101. I see what you did there. That was good marketing. Good marketing.
Thank you, sir. I'm trying to pick up from you.
Good job. Yeah. I mean, my pastor has even said that a few times. We get in predicaments where, sometimes we may, stop going to church from time to time, but life has a way of bringing us back, to church and back to God. So it happens.
I like that, that your pastor said that, we can't, sometimes we hit that level of time where you don't go, but we just said, you end up going back to how you were raised. You kind of fall back on it,
Exactly.
One of the first things I did, for two things I did when I thought I was grown. One, I stopped eating vegetables because I was so tired of eating all my life. I had to eat vegetables. So I stopped eating them. And then I was like, man, I'm hurting myself. And then I stopped going to church. And then I realized again, I was hurting myself. So I kind of found my way back.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel as though that's common, Coach Clayton, with most people. I think once we become adults, I think that's usually the thing that we that we veer away from is church. And then maybe like a month or so later, we always end up going right back. So I feel like that's common.
Jay, I appreciate you so much. And there's so much that you've done. I'm so glad that we were able to connect and be able to hold this interview and let people see what you're doing, what you've accomplished, how you still feel like you haven't accomplished what you want to accomplish yet, and you still have those goals in front of you that the Superfly nerd will continue to work on trying to achieve.
That's right. Well, first and foremost, thank you both for having me on your show. This was great. I really enjoyed myself tremendously. And yes, like you indicated just now, I've only scratched the surface. There are still, lot of other things that I'm trying to accomplish. But I do believe I'm moving in the right direction, and I think that this interview was one of those. So thank you so much again for having me. Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Even
coming,
Dr.
man.
Washington
Jeez.
said, excellent segment, Dr. Washington, because he made a comment about you that he wished that he knew then what you know now, and he was just saying, you know, how you took your time and did what you had to do and stay on track, because he's just recently gotten his PhD as well.
Nice.
But he's a INSiiGHTS regular. You know.
All right, good stuff.
He's one of our regulars. He's on every week and comments, and we appreciate it.
And
sure.
Before we go really quick, my dad just walked in and he is so surprised that I'm on your show. So he's off to the car. Yeah.
There goes the surprise.
Awesome.
Huh?
Yeah, there goes the surprise. I still think he was surprised. But yeah.
What was that look on his face?
Awesome.
I was focused on you, but I did see him come in and stop. So he hasn't made it, because I'm home. I'm in my parents' house right now.
Okay.
But yeah, he kind of stopped and started listening. So yeah, I think he was still surprised. Well, you said what? He said what, Dad? He said another one. He wanted me to tell you another one.
That's my guy there. That's my brother there. So a lot of love to the family. We appreciate you being on and what you've shared with us. And we know that there's going to be a lot of people who've gained some knowledge from what you said, from your testimony, and that they use this as encouragement and motivation to continue down the road that they want to go down.
Yes, sir.
And we try to tell people all the time, it's not about me or Rick, but we like to let people know that we've been through some things and that we continue to do what we do.
Right.
And even at our age, that we continue, especially my age, because I'm real old, to be able to do something that not what we normally do in terms of trying to follow your dream.
Absolutely.
For us to have our own network now and be on Roku, have our own Roku channel that you can put INSiiGHTS in and download it. You could get us on your mobile apps, you know, iPhone or Android free. See the shows, all of that. That, you know, we were able to do that. And
incredible. That's incredible. And
it's a blessing. I mean, we did it through his belief and confidence. He said, "Well, Coach, if this is what you want to do, I'm gonna support that."
Yeah.
And so we continue to try to provide a platform for people.
And you're doing a phenomenal job. If I may say, you know, like it's never too late. I always try to tell people that it's never too late. We, as a society, for whatever reason, we tend to put a lot of emphasis on accomplishing things when we're younger. You know, you always hear of these 30 under 30 lists or these 40 under 40 lists. But I've told a friend once I'd be more interested in like a 50 over 50. You know, like there are people that are still thriving, are still coming up with different initiatives, or even pivoting from, you know, one career to another career, you know, at older ages, you know. But I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, the world that we live in, we just feel like we have to have it all figured out in our 20s. Like as a society, we, you know, what do you tell children? You're just like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which, when you think about it, quite frankly, if I'm being honest, it's a lot of pressure for a kid, right? You know, you're asking a child, what do you want to be when you grow? How's a child supposed to really know? Like I contemplated once being an engineer at one point. I don't even like math. I don't even like math. I don't. So yeah. So I think that, you know, you can always reinvent yourself. You can always try new things. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Well, your girl Maya, she said, "Daddy, I ain't never seen nobody be retired and stay as busy as you do. I just don't see that."
I love it though.
Yeah. And we appreciate you. If there's anything that we could do moving forward for you, let us know. And it's done. I mean, just that, you know, that's just how we do. But we appreciate you being on so much, and the words that you used and the advice that you gave to so many. We really do appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Keep going, Rattler. Keep going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And here we are with FAMU Homecoming. We're bringing a FAMU graduate to you, telling you about some of the things that he's doing that any of you can do. You just have to find your lane and continue to work on it. And as Jay said, bet on yourself.
Amen.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And anything we
Thanks,
can do,
Jay.
let us know.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right.
INSiiGHTS now has its own Roku channel. INSiiGHTS itself is a dream maker, providing a platform for content creators. Go with INSiiGHTS Roku channel into 91 million homes. We are strengthening our programs that will continue to educate, entertain, and enlighten our viewers. We will still feature youth sports, Mick and Rick, INSiiGHTS Magazine, Remember the Legends, and much more. Stay tuned for our creative content. Appreciate your support.
Man, it was a great interview, wasn't it?
Man, I love seeing from Tallahassee, from FAMU, and look at them. You can do it, folks. You can do it. You can do it. Hey, special shout out, Dr. King, Gavin Pitt. Thanks for joining us. Definitely.
Brittany, it was good to see you come back and get on. I hate that we had to have your brother on for you to come on. You could have been on here saying something. One of our original reporters. Now you all grown and doing well. You can forget about us. That's all right. See, I can call you out on the show because you can't be on the show. So ain't nothing you can say, but Coach just said something about me. But I don't lie. Super fly nerd. I mean, I told Jay, I said, I remember him in high school in 9th or 10th grade. He's a little nerdy little guy. And he said, yeah, Coach, I embraced that. My handle was super fly nerd. I said, who else would take that name and then turn around and make it a handle and make it something that he could do like that?
That's
and
right.
We appreciate those of you who listen. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
No, that's right. I mean, you take away their power, embrace it, and do big things. And he's doing big things.
He's doing big things. Rick, what's that hat say? That's a FAMU hat?
Because it's homecoming week.
Hey, say about homecoming, those of us from Tallahassee, we probably see a bunch of people that we know. In fact, you talking about Maya, she and her family will be here this weekend too. But those of us who live here, we'd be glad to see it go. We'd be glad for that Sunday. So the city can return to normal, because anything shopping or going out to get something to eat, it ain't gonna get done this weekend. You better have it already. Otherwise, it is done. So we appreciate y'all. Rick, with your Mick and Rick, I see you with your jersey on.
Fits good, brand. Coach. It fits good. It fits good, Coach. It fits good.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother.
Your attention. Stay up to date with the latest from INSiiGHTS. Visit our website at INSiiGHTS.com. 2 eyes in the middle. INSiiGHTS.
INSiiGHTS is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. Comments of the host and other individual speakers on INSiiGHTS represent their independent thoughts and representation.
All right, on your phone, download it, INSiiGHTS. Or if you have Roku, put it in, download it, watch it sometimes. It's set up just like Netflix. Got video on demand sections. If it's live, it's something on there you can see. If it's a show you want to go back and catch, you could catch. And see, what you don't know is we got that creative content coming up there. We got some things, skits and things we put together with some of the students. We always got something going on. INSiiGHTS, we appreciate you. FAMU homecoming.
Let's party. Until next week, y'all. Hey, if y'all don't see me next week, you know what? I'll be recovering.
Dr. Hammond said, homecoming, you should be recovering about 2 or 3 days. He said, now it take 2-3 weeks.
See, Dr. Abbott, no, he don't.
We appreciate y'all. See